That's it, Jay. Just keep it up, dude. Come on, Tori, get in there. That's it. You can do it. Way to stay with it.
Tori, get the ball, honey.
I'm guessing I don't have to tell you about the power of encouragement. Certainly learning a lot about that here on the sidelines of a kindergarten soccer field, trying to encourage the players on my team. But I've learned a lot about it too on the other side of that. As a runner, I've been in a lot of races. There's nothing like being in the last couple miles of a half marathon down in Indianapolis and having the crowds of people there on the sidelines cheering you on, just helping you get through that last segment that's tough. I remember vividly running an extreme relay a couple of years ago called Dances with Dirt, and it was late in the day. It was my third leg. It's a trail race, so you're dealing with hills and mud and the whole deal, and some guy comes running up behind me when my legs had already turned to jello. I was tired. I was working on mile 12 or 13 of that day, and it was great because he came up and he just started shouting words of encouragement. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. You're doing. That's a good pace. That works for me. That's super. I like it. And for a couple miles through the woods, he was the guy that kept me going. He was the one that enabled me to do it. It brought to mind Max Lucado talking a little bit about his discovery about the power of encouragement when he was running a half Ironman triathlon. He had done the swim portion and he had done the biking portion, and then he was just starting on the running portion, the 13.1 miles that he had to run. And he was running next to another guy there who just had a negative outlook, and all he did was complain, and just kept. In fact, Max, I think in his book, says something like the guy had more complaints than a taxpayer at the IRS. He was tired. I don't think I can do it. This stinks. I never should have decided to do this race. And Max said it didn't take me long to figure out that wasn't the kind of guy that I wanted to run the race with. He said, so I took off. He said I caught up with a 66-year-old grandmother who was running the race, and she was at the other end of the spectrum. She was encouraging him. She's like, you know, it's hot, but at least it's not raining. Hang in there. Don't forget to hydrate. You're going to get through this. And he said, that's the kind of person I needed to just give me the encouragement to get through the race. I think there's a sense in which that captures for us a bit of a metaphor for life in general. And it raises the question for each of us, which kind of person we'd rather have with us, which kind of a person we'd rather be running that race of life with. The old guy who's complaining and nothing's ever right, or the 66-year-old grandmother who everything that comes out of her mouth is a word of encouragement that can keep us going. I think that's a lot of the reason why the New Testament tells us in several places that we ought to be a people who are encouraging one another, that we ought to be a people who are like that grandmother. We notice, for example, in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, the writer there writes, "Let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29, Paul uses a bit of a different phrasing, but it's the same kind of thing. "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building one another up, according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." Everything that we say to be something that's building up others. 1 Thessalonians 4:18, "Therefore, encourage each other with these words," Paul says, words that bring hope to a people who are struggling in the face of many challenges and even persecution, but anticipating the day when Christ will return. And then our text for today, from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11, where Paul says, "Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing." It's the pattern of ministry that we observe throughout the book of Acts. The folks there, folks like Paul, folks like Silas, folks like Barnabas and others, continually were traveling to visit believers and to encourage them in the faith, to enable them to speak that word that enables them just to hang in there. How you doing, buddy Lucas? You having a good day? One of the guys that we read about there is a man by the name of Barnabas, and he, more than anybody else, captures that idea of someone who is an encourager. Interestingly, his very name, the nickname that he was given by the folks in the early church, was a name that captured that very idea. When we first meet Barnabas in Acts chapter 4, verse 36, we discover that Barnabas is actually a nickname. It wasn't his real name. His actual name was Joseph. He's a Levite from Cyprus, whom the apostles called, Acts tells us, called Barnabas, which means son of encouragement. He sold a field he owned and he brought the money and he put it at the apostles' feet. Barnabas there, son of encouragement, who by the very way in which he lived embodied that idea of being one who is called to encourage other people. It's the calling that we all share. And this morning, as a part of our time together, we want to think together about what it means to become someone like Barnabas, to become someone who really can be an encourager to all of the brothers and sisters in the faith. Today we want to look at what kinds of characteristics enabled a Barnabas to be that kind of guy for the people of the early church, that we may be that kind of person for our brothers and sisters in our day. Good job, guys. Keep it up.